Okay, so C3 and C4 plants, as you know, the factors affecting photosynthesis, uh, abiotic and biotic, all these factors affect simultaneously, and its rate will be determined by law of limiting factors given by Blackmans in 1905. And now, if a chemical process is affected by more than one factor, like water, light, CO2 concentration, temperature, then its rate will be determined by the factor which is nearest to its minimal value, and it is the factor which directly affects the process if its quantity is changed. Okay, now light, you see in the diagram rate of respiration and light intensity A, B and C, right? So there is linear relationship between incident light and CO2 fixation rates at low light intensity. So CO2 fixation rate and light intensity, they have linear graph. So but at higher intensity, so if but 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 at higher intensity, gradually the rate does not show further increase as other factors become limiting. Okay, why it is not increased? Because other factor, maybe water, temperature, it's getting limited, limiting factor. Now the light saturation occurs at 10% of only 10% of the full sunlight. Okay, now hence except for plants in shade or in dense forest, light is rarely a limiting factor. So there is always light. Okay, so the plants do not have to worry about this, but except the plants that found in like shade or in dense forest. Okay, now increase in incident light beyond a point causes the breakdown of chlorophyll. Now if you fall more maximum amount of light on chlorophyll, of course the chlorophyll is going to break down, and of course once the chlorophyll is break down, the photosynthesis rate will be decreased, so it will not even increase as it was actually increasing at least. Now carbon dioxide concentration. So carbon dioxide is the major limiting factor for photosynthesis. Okay, the concentration of CO2 is very low in atmosphere, that is between the point 0.03 to 0.04%. So increasing concentration up to 0.05% can cause the increase in CO2 fixation rates. Beyond this the levels can become damaging over longer periods. Okay, now C3 C4 plants, they response to CO2 concentration differently. Okay, now C3 plants show 460 saturation of CO2. Okay, oh, C3 right, 450, right, and C4 shows like 360. So C4 shows 360 saturation for CO2, right? So thus the current availability of CO2 levels is limiting to the C3 plant. Okay, and C3 plants responds to higher CO2 concentration by showing increased rates of photosynthesis, leading to higher productivity in some like greenhouse crops such as tomatoes, bell pepper also. So C3 and C4 plants, this is it. Now temperature, like biosynthetic phase, they have the enzymes, and enzymes affected by temperature. So dark reactions are affected, these are enzymatic and they are temperature affected, controlled. Now light reactions are also temperature sensitive, but they affect less. Okay, now C4 plants, they respond to higher temperature and show higher rate of photosynthesis, while C3 plants have a much lower temperature optimum, so they get fulfilled even the temperature is like minimum or something, but the requirement for the C4 plant is the high temperature. Okay, now the temperature optimal for photosynthesis of different plants also depends on the habitat. Okay, now tropical plants, because tropical plants have a higher temperature optimum than the plants adapted to temperate climates. Okay, now water. Even though water is one of the reactions in the light reaction, the effect of water as a factor is more through its effect on the plant rather than directly on the photosynthesis. Now water trace, abscisic acid. It is a stress hormone that releases to close the stomata, so the reducing CO2 ability. Okay, now so within the chloroplast, the membranes are the sites for the light reaction, while the chemosynthetic pathway occurs in the stroma. Photosynthesis has two stages: the light reaction and the carbon fixing reactions. Some tropical plants show a special type of photosynthesis called C4, called C4 pathway. In these plants, the first product of CO2 fixation that takes place in the mesophyll is a 4 carbon, and in the bundle sheath cells, the Calvin cycle is carried out for the synthesis of carbohydrates.